So I picked up this Tamiya Jumbo Sherman. This is the first actual model Sherman I've built, so I'm pretty excited for that. The first thing I noticed was that there's not very many parts in this kit, and I was obviously very sad to see the rubber tracks. Thanks to J Plays for suggesting this model to me. The model comes with a pretty basic decal sheet. I'll definitely be using that, and just some regular instructions, nothing special. So here you can see the finished model. It was a pretty easy build, no problems. It comes with 2 figures. It's pretty nice. You can see I used some masking tape to add on some extra stuff on the sides. And here you can see the primed model. I was all out of black primer, so I just had to use white, which works just as fine. Now the first paint I'm going to be using is this US light green. Now my airbrush decided that now is the perfect time to break, so I was going to start off with this brush because I was too impatient to wait for a new airbrush. Now I put on layer after layer after layer of this brush paint, and I was never happy with the result because it is a airbrush paint, so I can't really blame them for that. So as you can see, it didn't turn out too well. It wasn't what I was hoping for, so I was just gonna have to wait for my airbrush to arrive so I could use it then. While I waited for the airbrush, I decided to get started on the figures. So usually I like to start off with the skin first before I move on to the clothing. So here I'm just using dark flesh and just getting every part of the face and hands of both figures. The next color I'm going to be using is some Iraqi sand, and I'm just going to use this to paint like the jaw and underneath the nose and the backs of the hands, and just places where it would be darker on a real person. After that, I'm going to take some brown rose, and I'm going to get the lips, the cheeks, and the eye sockets, and also the palms of the hands. And this will just bring some warmth to those parts of the figures like you would see on a real person. The next color is this basic skin tone. Now I suck at filming and I wasn't able to get any good footage, but basically just paint the whole thing. And after that you get some brown or blue or any eye color, and you're just gonna make little dots for the eyes of the figures. I don't paint in the white of the eyes. After that we're gonna take some red leather and we're gonna paint some of the parts of the helmet. I don't really know how to explain what part of the helmet it is, but I don't know, just like it's close to the face. You can see the part that I'm painting now. Then we're going to take some olive drab and we're going to paint in the main bulk of the helmet, just like pretty much the whole thing that's not already painted. Next, I'm just going to use some gray, and I'm going to use this to paint in some of the straps on the figure's helmet. I don't really know if this is very historically accurate, but I just like to do it anyway. And next I'm going to use some khaki. And I'm just going to paint in the jacket with this. Just the whole jacket is one solid color for now. We'll change that later, but we don't have to worry about that right now. And here you can see that finished, or not finished, but you can see how it should look right now. Next we're going to take some black, and we're just going to paint in the headphones and the goggles. And the headphones are just a little thing on the side of the helmet. Next we're going to take some brown, and we're just going to paint in the one with the legs. We're just going to paint in his pants. Nothing too crazy, just one solid coat. After that, we're going to go back to our red leather, and this time we're just painting in his little boots down here. Once again, nothing crazy, just get the whole boots. And here you can see the completed figures. They're nothing too crazy, pretty simple, not too hard to paint. Both of these will obviously be on the tank, and I'm excited to use them. So after a matte varnish, we're now ready to weather. So we're gonna grab some oiled earth wash or any dark wash you want. And we're just gonna brush this all over the whole figure. Get everything, and then you can wipe off the excess on the raised areas with your brush, and it should like darken the details so you can see the details more and really bring your figure to life. And one more matte varnish and our figures are complete. Now I'm just gonna test fit them into the tank. I'm not gonna be gluing them in, just seeing how they look in there, seeing what position I want to get them in. And they fit pretty nicely. Should be pretty cool. After this, my airbrush arrived and I got to work just going over the brushed areas and the areas that didn't look good with the airbrush, and it really helped. I think the model wouldn't have turned out nearly as well as it did if I hadn't waited for the airbrush and then just stuck to the brush. After this, I grabbed some gunmetal, and we're going to be painting in the machine gun on the top of the turret, the machine gun by the main cannon, and the machine gun on the hull. And I'm also going to be using it to paint the tracks on the sides of the hull, and also the regular tracks, but I'm not going to be doing that until the very end, just to make it a little bit easier. But yeah, just for now, all the machine guns and the tracks on the sides. I also used this color to paint in some of the metal gear on the back of the tank. You know, just shovels and hammers and stuff, and also those tracks in the back. Next, I'm just going to be grabbing some brown and doing the wooden handles of some of these tools, like the shovel and the axe. Next, I took some olive drab and painted in this canteen and shovel that I added off camera. I don't know, I just thought some extra gear would be good, so I just added these two on. I also used it to paint this ammo box that I added in on the back of the tank. Again, just another random addition. I thought I would add it. After this, I'm going to be using some black, and I'm just going to paint in the little viewports on the helmet. And see just all these little like oval things. Just paint them all in black. And don't forget the one underneath the hatch. You can see right there. Don't forget that one. I'm also going to be using it to paint in the like parts of the wheels. You can see just the outsides of the wheels on all of the wheels. It'll take a while, but it's worth it. After this, I took some red leather and I just painted in the straps that are holding on these tracks and those tank shells on the other side. I didn't like this, and I did end up changing it later, but you'll see that. Now, I didn't have any bronze paint, so I was gonna have to try and mix two paints to get the color I was looking for. It just turned into an orange. I don't like it. I wish I had changed this and just waited, but I didn't, and it ended up on the finished model. I'm not very proud of it, but I don't know, it kind of gets the job done. After this, I grabbed some brown and just painted in these two crates. The one over here on the side and the one on the back. While I waited for that to dry, I decided to add a little Easter egg on the bottom of the tank. Once again, huge thanks to LaJ Plays for recommending this model to me. After this, I took some Iraqi sand and just dry brushed these boxes to make them look better. After that, I grabbed the gunmetal and just painted in the whole tracks. It took a while, but it looks really nice. It might be a little bit too shiny, but that will get knocked down in the weathering process, and I think it looks good on the end result. After a matte varnish, I was on to decals. So the decals are pretty easy, just water slide, not too crazy. I really like how they turned out. I'm pretty happy with it. Tamiya decals are always pretty good. I wasn't happy with the red leather on these straps. It looked really weird. So I decided to go back over it with some brown, and I like it a lot more. It looks pretty good on the finished model in my opinion. After this, I was back to an oil wash. Now I just painted this all over all the areas that would have had lots of grime on them in real life. Not too crazy. After that, I got this Tamiya Weathering Master. This is my first time using this. And I just did some streaking effects all over the model. Pretty much everywhere. I think it looked really nice, and I'm excited to use this again in the future. After this, the model was officially completed, and I could glue our figures into place. I think the model turned out pretty good. After this, all I had to do was just one matte varnish, and it was done. Overall, I think the model turned out really nice. I'm pretty happy with the weathering, and I think it's just a really cool tank in general. I'm excited to use some of the techniques that I used on this build in the future, and I will be building a diorama for this on the channel in a couple weeks. I think something around then. I'm a little bit busy right now, but I'm gonna get that out at some point. And again, thanks to LeJ Plays for suggesting this to me. And I'll see you guys next time.